Hey there, friends. Welcome back. This is episode 16 of Who the Heck Did I Marry? Okay, recapping the last episode. So Ken had sold my Blazer, my beautifully awesome blue, hand-picked out, every payment made, paid off vehicle Blazer to a friend of a friend who basically in the end, I'm 99.9% sure, kind of screwed us and we never got fully paid for this vehicle that we sold them. I know we had to chase down payments many times. I know they trashed my car, and at some point I believe we were being told they can't afford to make the payments to us because basically they had destroyed my vehicle and it wasn't running, and they had to find other ways to drive or pay to drive, or there's no Ubers back then. So yeah, it was a shitty situation. I was going to say a shit show. Okay. So Ken is working at the car dealership, and the reason we sold that Blazer is because he had a company car. So I was driving his Sport Track, which we needed to keep that vehicle. Somebody may say, why didn't you sell his truck instead of your truck? His truck was lifted for the off-roading that we did. His truck had the trailer hitch on it that pulled the trailer that had our quads. So it really just was not, we could have kept my car for what we did or did not end up getting out of it. But nonetheless, we were going to need that car really soon, and it was now gone because as of Halloween, October 31st, 2005, Ken got laid off from the car dealership. So we had moved ourselves to Cottonwood. We had bought a house. We had sold my car because he had a company car. And now he doesn't have a job in Cottonwood anymore. He officially worked there part of June, July, August, September, October 31st. He had worked there 5 months. Now, the story I was told was that he was laid off. I don't know if any of y'all remember when Chevy and GMC, and Ford might have done it too, but Chevy and GMC had done, it was the first time that they had ever done what they called employee pricing. So basically, a car dealership has several prices on their stickers if you're looking at the actual invoice from the manufacturer, and they have what is called employee pricing, which is different than the price that you're supposed to show to the public. So they had done this advertisement sales campaign where they said, you pay the employee price. Well, around the time Ken was hired at this car dealership, the employee pricing was going on, but a month or two into him working there, the employee pricing went away. And when they stopped doing the you pay the employee price, sales tanked for a bit, which kind of makes sense. You just could have had it for, I don't know what the prices are, but let's just say $2,000, a new car for $2,000 less yesterday, and then today the deal is over. It's a new month, no more. So him being what I call middle management, you had your controller, you had your assistant controller, and then you have your office staff. His position is easily eliminatable because you've still got a manager, you still got your office staff. He's kind of that middle management that is not necessarily needed. So here it is, Halloween. I'm at work at my Sedona Electronics company, and I get a phone call from him. They laid me off. I don't have a job. I don't have a car. One of the girls in the office is going to drive me home, and I'll meet you there after work. Wow, what happened? They couldn't afford me anymore. Laid off. They couldn't afford me anymore. And obviously I'm driving a company vehicle, so somebody's going to have to drive me home. We're now down to one car because we sold mine. And we're up here living in a city for your job that you don't have anymore. Let me tell you, the rest of that day and the rest of the car ride home, I'm wondering what the heck we're going to do. We've got this house. I thought no problem with us paying for this house. He's got a good job. I was making decent money in Sedona. Now what? I don't know. So I go home. Obviously, he's not happy. We talk about it. And the only option is for him to start looking for a job. So the next day, he starts pounding the pavement, checking the newspaper. We're living currently in Cottonwood, which gives us the Cottonwood area, the Camp Verde area, the Cornville area, potentially Jerome, and then going out a little bit further from that. Did I say Sedona? Sedona too. Going out a little bit further from that, you have Prescott, which you can get to in about an hour and a half, depending on which way you go. And then you could eventually get to Flagstaff, which again is about a 2 hour, hour and a half, 2 hour haul, again, depending on traffic and weather and how you go. So he starts looking. There is nothing. Because think about it, car dealerships, like how many car dealerships are in these little towns? And he's looking for some accounting management position. Like that's pretty specific. So he's actually found that they are hiring some sort of office staff at, I believe, the Jeep dealership in Prescott. We're weighing out what is the cost of this hourly position along with the gas for you to drive an hour and a half to get to this dealership. What are we going to do? Blah, blah, blah. He doesn't end up getting offered the job. He, I believe, went to an interview in Flagstaff. That did not work out either. So again, we're sitting here for about a month with him having no income, and what are we going to do? So he calls his recruiter. I'm sure his recruiter was involved from the beginning. What can you help me find? What can we do? And it ends up that they got him an interview for an office manager position for a car dealership in Avondale. Okay, so thinking about the valley, Avondale is on the west side of the valley. The 17 goes straight up to Flagstaff, and you pass that Cottonwood area, Sedona Cottonwood area. And then you come on down, and eventually you get to Phoenix, and a little west of that is going to be Avondale. So he had an interview there to work at a car dealership in the Avondale Auto Mall area, and he was offered the job. So on one hand, that's great. But for him to drive, let's say from Cottonwood all the way to this dealership, is going to be about an hour and a half. So that's just not possible. It's long term, it's not possible. So he starts packing a bag weekly and spending, he would get up super early, drive to the dealership on Monday to work. Monday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, he would sleep at his parents' house because that was about a 45-minute drive to the dealership on the other side of town. Then on Friday nights, he would come back up with me, and then we would obviously spend the weekend together until Monday when he would go back down. I'm still working at the electronics company, which is going great. But we're newlyweds. I'm missing my husband. I want us to be together. What are we going to do? So obviously this is the constant conversation. What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Early December, okay, he's been working there maybe 3-4 weeks. Early December, it was right before Christmas. They, at his car dealership, they are talking about the fact that they need somebody else in the office to help with accounting. They were having, I call it like a rash of pregnancies. They had one girl already out on maternity leave. They had another office girl who was about to go out on maternity leave. And then they had another gal who was going to have back surgery and was going to be out for about 4 to 6 weeks. So you had 3 people in the office, one already missing, one leaving soon, and one that was also leaving soon for back surgery. And they were going to need somebody in the office to kind of fill these holes as they were needed. So Ken says, my wife is smart. She is accounting minded. She's office manager at a Sedona electronics company right now. I know she could pick up this job in no time. Why don't you interview her? So he talks to me about it. I say it sounds good. If we could work together, at least we'll be together, and that would get us together. So I come down, I interview for the job at the car dealership. It was a little before Christmas. I end up getting the job. So I went in, and right before Christmas, I gave my 2 weeks notice to my boss at the electronics company in Sedona, sadly, and I accept the job down in Avondale, which I started right after New Year's Day. So now we've got this house in Cottonwood. We're splitting our time between Cottonwood and living down here. My parents had a home that we were able to pseudo rent. I'm looking at the time, and I will tell you more about that in the next episode. Stand by.